Hi, it's Heather with R-Rated Reviews with the latest installment of R-Rated Reviews, and that's what it's going to be. It's reviews. I want to go back to doing that. So I'm just trying to get set up. My fire is blazing. It's like blazing right out of the back of the stove. I've actually cleaned up my shop a little. I had 3 feet of sawdust everywhere, and I'm going to cover my workbench with even more tools, and I'm going to make a Saturday night, probably angry, tirade, profanity-laced review on an unboxing, because you know how much I love unboxing. I just have a little bit more to get set up, and then we're going to hit the ground running. Hi, guys. Welcome to Saturday night in my shop. I have decided to start out with a different video that's going to be a little bit short. Hold on. I'm sorry. I just had my face inside that mask for so long. Like, even with it on, it's dirty. All the sawdust that was like a foot to 2 feet on top of everything on the workbench. And it was literally like 2 to 3 feet all over the floor. I had to clean up. I felt it was a fire hazard, besides hiding shit. But I want to get back to making shorter, better videos. And I love the DIY. But I think what I'm going to do, well, I know I'm going to do, if you have a video you want to see, ask me and I'll make it. But I don't think it's feasible for me to take you guys on all of like the jobs and different projects, because by the time I get done making the whole thing, it's like 3 or 4 hours worth of footage that I have to condense into like 30 minutes at most. And then I have these like AI I sound like a robot, choppy I don't edit. The Academy is not nominating me. And I do this shit on my phone, and it takes me days. So, although I love them, I want to go back to doing primarily reviews, and I'm still you'll learn stuff along the way anyway, because I'm going to do them with smaller projects. But I was going to say something about my mask and my safety goggles tonight, and then I figured, you know what? I've done some really stupid shit more recently than, far more frequently more recently. But in hindsight, I've done some stupid shit this year. And I mentioned a few of them in the last video, which was why I wasn't going to film what I was doing. But I think it warrants being said. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you, first of all, I should be blind. I am lucky that I'm not blind right now. And I should have no fingers. And even though I have my fingers, when I think back on it, it's sort of like, I replay it like a movie I've seen in my head. And even though I know how it ends, I'm always afraid that each time I replay it, what happens if the ending changes? And I get freaked out because I should literally not have fingers right now. And it's not funny. I used to think that it was okay to wear flip-flops and who cared about safety stuff. I always cared about it, but it was like, believe it or not, it was ego. Like, I was so uncomfortable with already being the person that does this stuff. Like, who says I should be doing this? Like, I'm going to turn into like this know-it-all with all the safety gear. It was like, let me just do it and not look like it. And really, it was stupid. It was stupid. So I don't have nearly as much ego as I used to. I don't have to look cool because it ain't going to happen anyway. So I'm going to tell you a few things I did this year. And the importance, the absolute importance of goggles, masks, gloves, not always gloves, but gloves, no strings, tie your hair. I know everyone keeps calling, tie your hair up, put your glasses on. Now, I have had my glasses on many times where people didn't realize because they're fucking clear. And one of the reasons I don't always wear the safety goggles is because I can't see out of them. And it doesn't sound like that makes any sense. But there was someone who commented, who explained to me, it's because of the convex shape of different glasses. So I have to stop buying the $12 pack from Amazon that comes with 30 pairs for $12, because if they don't have the right curvature to them, it actually changes. It's like wearing lenses when you don't need them. I really can't see through clear lenses, which I'm going to get better safety goggles, glasses, goggles, whatever. There are times that you're supposed to wear gloves. There are times that you should not wear gloves. My gloves saved my hands last week doing something I shouldn't have done. But I'm going to start with over the summer when I was taking my carpentry class and my instructor was trying to tell this class that weren't paying attention how dangerous the table saw was. And we both agreed it's the most dangerous, probably the most dangerous tool in the shop is a table saw. And luckily, he does the same thing I do because I was afraid I was going to get in trouble. I took the kick back off. There's a thing on it that has teeth. It comes down with an arm and it runs behind. Hang on. I can just show it to you because I keep it under the table saw. And I'm not recommending that you remove yours. I'm just telling you, for me, this is supposed to stop the table saw from either shooting the wood at you, kicking it back. And the first few times I'm like, I have to have it on there. The instructions say to have it. I want to say the second or third time I used it, it locks up on the wood and almost sent it at it made it worse for me. I'm like, teacher's like, that's why people take them off. So I did, but I at least wanted to try it the way it was recommended. Luckily, my instructor, he feels the same way. He said the first thing he did when these massive table saws came in was he removed all the kick teeth, the kickbacks, whatever they're, kick stops from them. And one of the other instructors from a different location came in and was like, you can't do that. It's against, and he's like, you do what you want in your shop. They're not safe. In some cases, they put so many safety features on it that it's like they'll dumb it down. But it can actually, in some cases, it can cause more safety issues by having it than not having it. So I was a little relieved when he knew that I took mine off and he wasn't against it. There are some safety features that are actually less safe. And so that's why I take mine off, but that doesn't mean I'm telling you that you should take yours off. My instructor was trying to drive the point home because the table saw that I have is little. The table saw in the shop class is fucking huge. He was trying to tell people, you got to push this stuff out. Use your push stick. You know, I told him, have a healthy dose of fear. And he was like, good. Not so much that you're shaking when you use it. You have to have control. It's like in insurance. Care, custody, and control. You need to have care. You need to have custody. You need to take control. But a healthy dose of fear so that you don't get up there all nonchalant like it's not a big deal. Good. And they're joking around. They're not paying attention. Well, we lost a chicken. And we lost our blind chicken, Polly. I can barely talk about her. And we lost her over the summer. And when we lose all the chickens are buried. They all get like a little memorial. But the ones that are super, super, super special that we bonded with for many, many years have a special garden in the front where they go. And I didn't want to put her in a shoebox. I just thought Polly deserved better. So I came out here to build her. I built her a little casket. And I was emotional. I was still paying attention to what I was doing, but not to the degree that I should have been. And I needed to rip some wood. And I had everything the way it was supposed to go. I had my goggles on, all that. I don't fuck with the table saw without my goggles or glasses. And I didn't push the wood all the way through the way I should have. And it was pretty thick wood. I mean, I'm going to say it was a 3/4 inch piece of wood. And it was about yay big. It kicked back so fast. Well, the glasses would have done nothing. Maybe protect my eyes. It would have broken my face. It hit me in the chest. Right, I'm going to say it was right under my sternum. So it was like by the floating rib. It knocked me across the room and virtually knocked the wind out of me. I was like, I was so in shock at how fast and how hard it hurt that I didn't even notice that I had the wind knocked out of me. And I was just standing there in shock and thankful. I was instantly thankful. I just started looking like I shut it off immediately and thought, I have all my body parts, and then began to breathe again. And I went back to class the next night and I was like, hey, listen, you trying to tell everybody about how this thing kicks back? Let me tell you, I use it all the time and I know how to use it. And I still did something foolish because even though I'm cautious, I was overwhelmed, I was emotional, and I wasn't quite 100% there. I had a crack. My rib wasn't cracked, but it was bruised. It hurt to breathe for weeks. don't fuck with the table saw. So when I tell you some of the things I was going to do with it, thank goodness I got smart and didn't do it. When I told that to my instructor, he was appreciative that I shared it with him, because like it was the beginning of class. I'm like, let me tell you what happened. You know how you're always talking about, pay attention to the table saw and that kid. He's like, yeah. I said, well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I said, I'm going to tell you what I did, because if you want me to tell them, I will. And he was like, please. And at the beginning of the class, he was like, hey, welcome everybody, blah, blah, blah. Hold on a second. Heather, do me a favor. I'm going to have Heather tell you what happened. But this is the perfect example of what I'm always talking about with the table saw. And you guys think it's not going to happen. You're not paying attention. I'm always worried. They're not paying attention. Now, he's like, I know Heather does this. I know she's well-versed in the blah, blah, blah. He's like, and even so, go ahead, tell them what happened. I'm like, I can barely breathe. I mean, it was like a day or two later. I said, I can barely breathe. I said, I was hit. My table saw kicked back. And when it kicked it back, it kicked it a huge chunk of wood directly right under my sternum. I said, and it's excruciatingly painful. And it's going to be for weeks. And they were like, I said, it's no joke. I'm like, when he tells you, he's not just being a dick. Like, he can be, but he's not. So it was like, I don't mind going in there and saying, listen, I mean, we got guys in there that don't speak English and they barely understand what the hell he's saying. And I'm like, yeah, let me show you. You get it now? Stop fucking with the table saw. And so it's like, please let me learn for you again. Let me be the guinea pig of stupidity. Same thing with my miter saw. I'm flipping that fucking lid up. The reason I flip the lid up is because they give me a smoked gray plastic safety. You can't see. I pull it up not because I don't like the safety. I can't see through it. Make it clear. So anyway, the first time he saw me lift the safety up on the miter saw with my thumb, he didn't say anything. It was kind of like, I looked at him, I was like, out of habit, I'm like, where? And I looked over, I was like, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. And he didn't say anything. The reason that I should have no fingers right now is because on the day that I made the video, if any of you actually watched it, I was telling you how cold it was out here. I just needed to get done. And I had 2 pairs of gloves on. I had like a thinner pair of gloves, kind of like these liner type gloves, underneath a pair of like a good glove. And they saved my hand. Because when I told you that I was using my chop saw to carve wood, I mean, I shouldn't have even shared it. I'm sharing it now to tell you. I wanted my bandsaw fixed. I've asked so many times, and it hasn't happened. It's fixed. And it's fixed because I almost lost my fingers in the chop saw. The gloves are out here, and if I find them tonight, I'll show you. It was my left hand because I held the safety up with my right, and I was just holding the wood, again, just doing what I shouldn't do. And it pulled the wood just an inch or two, and it took the whole tip of my glove off so fast that the thumb of the glove just frayed and blew out. And I just stopped. And before I said thank you, I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry and thank you. The liner underneath was not cut, but I blew the whole thumb of this out on a high speed miter saw. And I stood there like, when are you going to learn? When are you going to learn? I talk about how I have bad luck. I don't really have bad luck when you think about it. I have great luck because I should have no fingers. I should have had broken ribs. And I went into the house, and TJ, the look on my face, I cried a little because I was just so frightened. I went in and I said to him, and frustrated, can you please help me fix my bandsaw? I need my bandsaw. I can't finish this project without my bandsaw. And he's like, well, what's wrong? What's the matter? I said, TJ. And I just held my hands up. He's like, what's the matter? I said, my chop saw did this. And he was like, holy fuck. TJ, it's because I don't have my bandsaw. I am using every tool out there in ways that they were not designed to be used. They shouldn't be used. And I have to get this done. It's for my children. Yeah. Blood, sweat, and tears. Like, loss of limbs. And I was experimenting with all of the different tools out here. All in ways, not like thinking outside the box and trying to use it in a different fashion, but yet appropriately. Completely and blatantly against every single don't in the rules. And I'm like, I'm using things out there in ways, TJ, that they're not supposed to be used because I don't have my bandsaw. Please help me. And then when he saw he was like, he saw the thumb of my glove and he's like, are you okay? I said, TJ, I have 2 pairs of gloves on. If I didn't have 2 pairs of gloves on, I would have no thumb right now. I said, I'm okay. I didn't get caught. But as soon as he saw it, he was like, what the fuck? Well, magically, he came out and it did take the 2 of us. I don't know how to fix it. But if you tell me what needs to be done, I can figure it out. And he couldn't figure it out, but knew what needed to be done. So he told me what had to be done. I looked around and said, that looks like it does something. And it did. Voila! Fucking 1.5 years that has not worked. And it took almost losing my thumb and a few fingers to get it fixed. Now, I mentioned playing a game of, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. I have some permanent vision loss, and I have some permanent scarring in my left eye because I wasn't wearing safety goggles about 3 weeks ago. I was at a client's house. I don't do plumbing, and it wasn't really plumbing. Her faucet was loose. She said she thought it needed to be replaced. I said, I don't think so. I think it just needs to be tightened or it needs a new screw on the bottom. And that's what it was. So I got them. The plastic rings had cracked. One of them tightened nicely. The other one wouldn't tighten properly. As soon as you got it nice and tight, you wanted to just give it that little nice solid, and it would go pink and skip, and you'd start over again. Drove me fucking nuts. So I decided, how am I going to fix this? I wanted to bond it with pipe adhesive because that'll hold it in place. But I didn't want to spill it onto her cabinet. Anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's a 2-step process. There's the purple PVC primer and then the plumbing PVC cement. The primer's the purple stuff. You run it, you clean off the pipe, you run it around the edge of the pipe. A couple seconds later, you take the second step, run that along the edge of the pipe, put the other pipe on it, and it locks it in place like glue. So it seals any of your joints in plumbing. Well, this was the same thing. It was PVC. It just wouldn't stay tight. So I didn't want to spill it. I took the cap. This is acetone. At least it smells like acetone. Step 1. I don't know. It smells like fucking acetone. I didn't want to spill it because it stains. So as I took it out of the can, I brushed it off. I let it drip. And I carefully flipped it up. I was so careful. And that's what gets me. I was so careful about not spilling it. I gave no consideration to the safety aspect of it. I turned it upside down because the brush is attached to the lid. I'll show you. It makes a mess. So it's this. So I, tap, tap, tap. And then I carefully turned it over so that anything that would run off would catch in the lid and I wouldn't spill it underneath her cabinet. And then I so carefully, without spilling it, backed myself up underneath the cabinet where it had been pooling into the lid and turned it sideways so that I could get it around the faucet stem and poured it into my eye, which was wide open trying to see in the dark under the cabinet. The fact that I was able to get out from underneath this woman's cabinet without breaking plumbing, without screaming. This was a new client whose home I had only been in once before. I had to stay calm. I didn't want to freak her out. I couldn't see. The burn, there is no explaining it. Pour some nail polish remover in your eye, like a capful. And I just trying to navigate her house with my eyes closed, sort of yelling, but calmly. I'm like, excuse me, please help, I need some help. I need water, please help. Like, I couldn't even remember what her name was. And I'm under the kitchen sink, which has got no hose. And I was at the hospital for like 6 or 7 hours that night doing, I had urgent care. They couldn't help me. They tried to help me for a few hours. The pH in my eye was still elevated to an 8. It has to be a 7.
So if it's an 8, chemical's still there. And apparently a chemical burn in your eye is worse than an acid burn. If they can't get the pH down, the damage is still continuing to happen. And the only way to fix it is with what's called a Morgan's lens. It's a suction cup that looks like a very large contact lens that has a tube, a hose attached to it. And they stick it in your fucking eye. And through that hose, they pump 1,000 cc's of saline. Except it's supposed to be lactates ringers, which is much more gentle on the eyes. And they're supposed to numb your eye first. Well, urgent care doesn't have numbing cream. And they don't have lactates ringer. So they gave me saline, which is salt water. And they stuck it in for an hour. And when they couldn't get the pH down, they sent me to the emergency room. They did it again for another hour. But at least I got it numbed. And they had the lactate ringer. So, or lactates ringer, whatever it's called. I had to go to an ophthalmologist the next day. I have corneal abrasions all around my eye. And the ophthalmologist told me I was lucky. She said, you are probably, it's healing already, but you're probably going to have some permanent scarring and some potential permanent vision loss. But I got lucky because in the area that the damage occurred is not across my lens or my retina. She said it's kind of like a windshield that has like stickers or cracks around the edges of it. You might know that it's there, but you won't really see it. You'll still see out. So the damage shouldn't affect my eyesight. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. They had to call poison control at the hospital because they couldn't get the pH in my eye down. They were like, she's gotten 2 hours of fluids, and poison control said if you don't get the pH back down to a 7, she can't leave, and you have to keep doing it because they're flushing it out. So, and then antibiotic ointment in my eye for 3 weeks. And that was the comment I made where when I'm working in my shop, you will probably not ever see me without a pair of safety goggles again. Because I had to learn the fucking hard way. And I'm hoping that maybe I can learn the hard way for you. When people act like, you know, we don't want to wear this, put them on. Just fucking put them on. Because I burned my eye, not even thinking that that could have happened. Because I was too busy being concerned. By the way, I spilled the purple shit all over our cabinet. I had to go back and paint it. Because when I bounced all over the place with the shit in my eye, it defeated the purpose. So the safety stuff is really important, and I wanted to do a video on it specifically because I want my videos to be shorter and more to the point, and I can't do these long videos because me trying to explain anything is like an excerpt out of the great American novel. So I want to stick with specific topics instead of cramming a bunch of shit together. And because I fucked up so many times, it warranted saying, hey, listen, these are the things that can go wrong. And so another thing I wanted to mention is you should, most of the time, have gloves on. But there are many times that you should not have gloves on. Thank goodness I had them on for the chop saw, and it worked. But I'll tell you, my gloves have hurt. I made a comment in a video one day, my gloves hurt and saved me all at one time. Do not wear your gloves when you're trying to insert screws with an impact driver. I do it all the time. I try to be cognizant of it. I try to be careful. And it's still, every 30 screws, I get stuck in one. The screw takes the glove and spins it around the screw, and it takes your finger with it. I have so many pairs of ripped up gloves because I don't take my gloves off. My hands are cold out here. And I'm usually cognizant of it. You do not want this. You ever try to put a screw through a curtain or a flag? Before that screw gets through, it takes all the fabric, and the screw might be like this fucking big, and it takes a wad of fabric this big and jams the whole thing around it. Well, that's what it does to your gloves. And I do it all the time, and it's got to stop. So those are my instant safety issues that I have faced. So the eyes were like December 20th. The fingers were like December 23rd. The chest was over the summer. The gloves were like December, like it was one after another. I'm out here, I'm rushed, I have the experience, I know how to use the tools, but that's why I say a healthy dose of fear, like for the table saw and stuff, a healthy dose of fear is a good level and degree of fear to have. Because when you become so comfortable that you just same thing with the planer. When you get too comfortable and that fear dissipates and you don't have it anymore, you don't think it can happen until all of a sudden a 4x4 post is jammed in your sternum, or your finger is underneath your chop saw with your hand on this side. So I just wonder if you guys have questions or comments. I mean, I figured I'm going to throw myself under the bus and address it so that it's on my terms. I don't need strangers on the internet to watch me do something dumb and then school me, because it's embarrassing. So I will embarrass myself and tell you, do not take the safety aspects of doing any of this lightly, because I did, and I shouldn't have. I didn't take it lightly. I just didn't pay it enough mind. And I did some stupid shit. Smart girl that does dumb shit. So wear your gloves when necessary. This, my carpentry instructor immediately said, any sweatshirts with hoods, you got to pull, any sweatshirts that have hoods with string, pull the string out immediately. Don't use it in the shop, because as soon as you lean over, the machine takes it. The only reason I still have the string in here is because I have to have it. I need this for a hood outside in the cold weather, and I'm aware of it, so I'm constantly pulling on it. I leave the string very short. I did actually shorten the string and put like new eyelet laces around it so that it doesn't hang down. So it doesn't make it right, but the string for me is necessary. I work outdoors, and I need my hood to be able to stay on in the wind. So if you have a hood and it's hanging down and you have string hanging on it, fucking take it off. This is where a lot of guys don't wear their wedding rings. This is why some guys, not a lot of guys, this is why some guys don't wear their wedding rings. If you get it caught in a machine, it's painful. You can take your finger off. So I just wanted to make you guys aware of that stuff. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to leave them. Just be kind. I mean, I threw myself under the bus. There are a lot of people that are not going to admit the mistakes they make. I would be the first one to tell you. This is what I'm referring to when I say I fuck up. Or I'm a smart girl, I do dumb shit. If you're too busy and you're not paying attention, it's too easy. Mistakes happen so quickly. I mean, 3,000 RPMs, that rotates 3,000 times. I mean, that's how fast something's going to happen. And I knew that, which makes me dumber, because I knew that and still didn't wear my protective gear. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And if you want to share it, feel free. Have a great night.